What's up, YouTube? I am the Vanilla Nerd, and today I want to give a response to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie trailer. I know I'm a little late to the party talking about this, but that doesn't seem to matter much because no one knows this movie exists. But we'll get into that later. So, if you haven't seen the trailer, definitely go do that before you watch this video. But besides spoilers for the trailer, there'll also be spoilers for Season 1, 2, and 3 of The Mandalorian, as well as, and I can't believe I have to say this, but also spoilers for the Book of Boba Fett. So yeah, those shows will be spoiled. If you haven't seen them, probably some of what I'm going to say won't make sense. So, anywho. Obligatory spoiler warning out of the way, let's talk about this trailer. So yeah, as I said earlier, this trailer did not make a whole lot of buzz on the internet, which is just, quite frankly, surprising because I thought no matter how bad Star Wars was, if they released a movie trailer, like, the internet would go nuts, but instead, that didn't really happen. I remember when this trailer came out a few weeks ago, I made sure to watch the trailer before going into work because I really wanted to make sure I could talk about it to all my friends who I'm sure were going to talk about it, but literally no one at my work knew about it. And it's not like I work at some small company. I work in a cubicle office space. Like, there's 20 or 30 people I interact with regularly, and none of them talked about this trailer. None of them cared about it. It just didn't even matter to them. And, like, that's fine. I don't care if they're not Star Wars fans or whatever, but I'm just baffled that it's made so little buzz, you know? And all the internet discourse has been kind of in that same vein of just, this movie, like, no one really cares. And that's really unfortunate. And I know that's just one anecdotal piece of evidence against this, but again, like I said, the internet buzz seems to be all in the same place. Like, no one's really talking about this film. And it's really sad to see how far Star Wars has fallen at this point. Like, really, really sad that they can release a movie trailer and just no one really cares. So yeah, Star Wars isn't a bad place. I mean, I've known this for a while, and part of the reason I wanted to make this video is to talk about my feelings towards Star Wars in the last couple of years, because it really does feel like a dead franchise. Like, not completely dead where it can't be revived or anything, but just like, I just don't care. They make announcements and it just kind of goes over my head. I want to be excited. I want to look forward to the future of Star Wars, but this trailer just didn't really do it for me. And I'll get more into the trailer in a second, but I do want to make the comparison that a few months ago, Marvel released a live stream of chairs, and that did better. Like, they just showed some chairs, and the internet was blowing up and being like, oh my goodness, this movie's going to be huge, and it got people excited. It did exactly what marketing should be doing. And this was a full-blown trailer, and no one's talking about it. Now, to be fair, it's not a direct apples-to-apples comparison. That chair live stream was for Marvel's big movie, Doomsday, which is going to be an Infinity War-style movie with, like, I want to say hundreds of characters. It's not quite there, but like tens of characters and lots of big action. So they're pushing hard for that. And this Mandalorian movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, was always meant to be a smaller scale movie, you know, by design. Which is why it's confusing that it's the one that they're leading with. Like, this is the first Star Wars movie back in years, and you're leading with a smaller scale movie. Maybe that would have been smart, like, had they done it like 2 or 3 years after the release of Episode 9 and they started small scale, ease us back into it. But it's been like 7-8 years since Episode 9 came out, and now we're getting a small scale movie. I don't think it's going to be the triumphant return that we're hoping for Star Wars, and that's very frustrating. Another good comparison would be like Star Wars Episode 7, where, you know, that trailer dropped and everyone was talking about it, and that was a year before the movie even came out. Like, it was just huge and stuff. And again, this one is not generating that same buzz. And again, it's not exactly an apples-to-apples comparison. Star Wars Episode 7 was the continuation of the Star Wars franchise. It did promise to bring back some characters from the original trilogy and stuff, so there was a lot extra, you know, caveats you could add on to that. But again, it brings us back to the point of, why are you leading with The Mandalorian and Grogu, a smaller scale film by design? Doesn't make sense to me. But that is my rant about Star Wars, and that's the state of Star Wars mostly, and that's over with. What about this actual trailer? What did I like about it? or what did I think about it? Honestly, the trailer was fine. It wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't anything terrible either. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I just was hoping to be more excited. I was hoping it was going to, get me pumped and excited to see this film. And instead, I'm just like, meh and stuff. I mean, I'll probably still go see it in theaters, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Ultimately, this movie looks like the equivalent of season 4 of The Mandalorian, just shrunk, less time, literally, and with slightly higher production value. So, yay, but I don't know. I wanted something different. This feels like it's going to be the same old, same old. You had a few scenes where it's like Mando's taking a job from some shady person. Carl Weathers, unfortunately, may he rest in peace, is gone. So now it's Sigourney Weaver, and he's going to run into the Empire. We saw some AT-ATs there, and that's going to be it. It's just going to be Mandalorian Season 4, but on the big screen. Yay! And that's not exciting to me. Now, some people have been bothered by this first trailer because it doesn't reveal a whole lot of the plot points, and that is not my problem. All right, I want to make that very clear. I love this trailer for the fact that it does not reveal a whole lot of plot points. It just kind of gives a general vibe of the movie and not what the movie's going to actually be about. Some people will be bothered by that, but for me, that's not how I enjoy trailers. I hate it when a trailer reveals major plot details or shows you basically the first act of the movie. I'm looking at you, Spider-Man No Way Home and Iron Man 2. I don't know if you remember, but the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home literally showed Spider-Man struggling to be Spider-Man and then seeing a little wizard pumpkin and being like, oh, I know who to go to. And then they show Doctor Strange. And it's okay, the first third of the movie is completely ruined for me now because now we know where it's going. And that's exactly where it went. So anyway, I'm very glad that this movie did not do that. And so, yeah. But there's a little insight into how I enjoy trailers for you. So for me, the best trailer is a trailer that gives me the vibes of what this movie's going to be, gets me excited for the movie based on those vibes and maybe some of the action scenes they show, and leaves me excited to see the movie. And then I don't watch any of the other trailers, any of the official trailers, or any of the TV spots or anything that they do. I just can't wait for the actual movie to come out. I think a really good example of this in recent past is Superman. Superman trailer came out. It gave me the vibes of what this movie is going to be like. It showed a weakened Superman. So I was like, okay, this Superman is going to be less strong than, less overpowered than the Henry Cavill version. And that's okay. I was fine with that. It showed the Justice Gang in there. So I was like, oh, great. They're bringing in some other superheroes already. This is going to be kind of a fun ensemble movie with Superman as the focus. And that's exactly what we got. The vibes were great from the trailer. I was excited. I couldn't wait to see it. And then I went and saw the movie, and it matched. So that was a perfect trailer movie experience for me. And that's what I would have liked from this movie, but we didn't get that. Unfortunately, the vibe of this movie was, you remember The Mandalorian seasons 1, 2, and 3? We're doing the exact same thing over again. And in fact, we're so worried that you will not get that this is the exact same thing that we're bringing back the Razor Crest, and we're bringing back Mando's disintegration rifle, both of which blew up back in season 2. And I'm just like, what? How? Why? Why would you choose to do this? Now, maybe there's a chance that this takes place between seasons 1 and 2. That this Mandalorian and Grogu movie takes place. And this is just a small story in between. But I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this is going to be set post-season 3. And so it's just going to be confusing as to why the Razor Crest and his disintegration rifle just came back. And I get his Razor Crest and his disintegration rifle weren't the only ones on the market. He could buy new ones. Okay, sure, fine. But still just frustrates me because it doesn't reward people who have seen these shows. It's not building off of what it decided. And it's just, it's bad. It's frustrating. So I don't like that. Some positive things I can say about the trailer is I did really like the scene with the AT-ATs. That looked really cool, them walking on the mountain and one being destroyed. That looks fun. Seeing Zeb show up was fun. I hope that is cool. And that looks like there's going to be another gladiator battle. And that was cool back in season 2. So, maybe there's going to be some cool action scenes. There's going to be some cool stuff, and maybe I'll end up liking this film more. But it's dubious. It's dubious. You see, it is hard for me to be excited about this movie because the reputation of The Mandalorian has been so tarnished. Ultimately, like, back when Mandalorian Season 1 and 2 came out, I was so excited. I was like, Star Wars is back. Like, they finally figured it out. They finally cracked the code. They know how to make good Star Wars content. It took them a little while. I wish that the creative team that had made these seasons had been behind the sequels, but okay, I'll take what I can get. I'm okay with a really compelling story that takes place 5 years after the events of Episode 6. This is fine. And stuff. And more than that, season 2 ended on this really emotionally powerful note. Mando gives up Grogu to Luke Skywalker, is like, hey, go be a Jedi. He shows his face off, which is just so sad, and we know how much that means to him to show his face to this child, and it's so good. And then Disney made one of the worst narrative decisions of their entire lives by bringing them back together immediately. And I can't say it's the worst because, the sequels exist. And look, love them or hate them, the fact of the matter is the sequels really bothered a lot of people, myself included. And so those were really bad narrative decisions. But this was really bad. Like, they had made me love these characters. They had actually done a good job to creating a compelling story and stuff. And then they just took it all away by bringing these two characters back together in, let me check note, the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, you didn't even have the decency to wait for their own season? Disney was like, nah, you gotta get them back together immediately. It's just, what? I am so baffled. I mean, the story practically wrote itself. Mando and Grogu are forced to train and be apart from each other. Mando is training with the Darksaber and trying to lead Mandalore and struggling. Grogu is training with Luke Skywalker to be a Jedi and struggling. They both get back together at the end of the season. Or heck, maybe not even at the end of the season, but they affect their storylines intersect and stuff. Grogu attacks a ship. Grogu and Luke get attacked by some bounty hunters that Mando just interacted with a few episodes earlier or whatever. All these things they could have done, and they just took all of that storytelling potential away, and it made for season 3 to be a really bland, boring season because I just didn't care. Like, you had compelling characters, and you ruined it. Don't get me wrong, Mandalorian season 3 was still okay. Some people think it's really bad. I think it was okay. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was terrible. But it had its issues. But I'm just so bothered that they brought these two back together. And therefore, with a mediocre season 3, I'm just not excited for what is going to be a mediocre movie. Now, obviously, it's no guarantee that it'll be a mediocre movie. It's possible the movie does better and finds a way to do something unexpected and go in an exciting new direction. But I don't trust Star Wars to do that. I just don't. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And so, as a result, my trailer response is I'm just not that excited. And by the way, I use the word response instead of reaction because I'm not actually watching the trailer live. But what else? The point is, this wasn't exciting. And I'm really sad that Star Wars is going to be returning to the big screen in a small way. And that's really, really disappointing. That's all I've got. Talk to you guys later.